you could describe your task in one sentence, it's probably too vague for an AI agent to understand. That one sentence can hide as many as 10 or more decisions that you don't even realize you're making in the process, but your agent needs to know. So today we're going to talk about how to turn a sentence or a task into a real workflow and improve your agents. A lot of people want to blame the model when an agent goes off the rails, but there are so many reasons that agents fail. So let's unpack just one common task today that looks obvious on the surface to a human, but to an agent leaves a lot to be desired and it needs more direction. The goal here is to help you build stronger agents through better planning and execution along the way. Before we dive in, though, if you haven't yet, please take a moment to like and subscribe if you're looking to grow your AI skills, because that's exactly what I hope to help you with here. Okay, so our task, research and summarize competitors. Looks like a task. It looks like a normal thing for a person to ask of an agent. The problem is that this sentence is littered with hidden assumptions. For example, who's a competitor? What does research include? What does summarize mean? What output shape do you want? Where should it go? When should it stop? All of these things, the agent needs to be told in order to understand your task and execute properly. See, a human fills in those blanks without noticing. It's just a thing that happens in the background in your head. You're answering so many questions and assumptions as you go because you already have the context. The computer isn't going to have the context if you don't provide it. So the system can't do that on its own. Let's crack this open. Okay, first, let's split the request in two: research and then summarize. These are different job types with different needs. Research expands the space. It goes out, it's going to gather, it's going to explore. Summarize takes what it found on research and it's going to compress that into something you can use. It's taking a pile of information and turning it into something usable for you. Now, when those two are fused, the model tends to do things like it'll gather too much data, it'll mix irrelevant sources that you don't care about or that don't matter to what you need out of your task, and it'll summarize that noise quite confidently, but produce something that frankly sounds organized but doesn't help with what you need, or at least isn't giving you the quality of help that the agent is capable of giving you. So we separate them, not because we love a million steps, but because separation forces clarity. So now let's look at what hides behind each word. So research, we'll start there. Research needs at least four things that people don't naturally specify. It needs guidance. What kind of competitors are we talking about? Direct competitors, adjacent, enterprise versus small business, same region, different reason, same customers? Who knows? It needs to know that. And without guidance, the model picks that definition on its own, whatever seems the most plausible. And you get a competitor set that's wrong. It's just not what you want. And it might miss things that you would want it to catch. And that's vital. Next up is parameters. Time frame matters, market matters, segment matters. These are big deals in terms of what you want your agent to consider when it's gathering your information. If you don't specify those parameters, again, the model will blend whatever it finds across years, geographies, product lines, and put them into what it guesses you wanted. Next up is reason. This one sounds philosophical, but it's going to save you from garbage output. Why are we researching? Are we looking for data around a pricing battle, differentiation, marketing, sales enablement, maybe content strategy? That why behind your request signals a lot more to the AI model that can help it further refine and give you better answers. Now, a stopping rule. This is important. Humans stop when they feel done. Agents don't have that feeling. So if you don't define what done looks like, the agent will either stop too early or keep going until you run out of patience or money. So now let's look at the other side of things here. Let's talk about summarizing. It also has a number of things that need to be a part of that. Your summarizer, it's going to need to know, what format do you want? Do you want it in an email? Do you want it in a spreadsheet, a doc? Do you want it to look like a form? Do you want it in a narrative paragraph? All of these things matter, and it needs to know that. Otherwise, it's not sure what you want, and you might get back something you're unhappy with. So if you want a spreadsheet, you need comparable fields. If you want An email, you need it to be maybe as a narrative or, and again, as bullet points, something like that. However you want it, you need to specify that. Next is the purpose of the summary. Is it a quick overview? Is it an in-depth analysis? Is this just a recommendation? Summaries change shape depending on who they're for and what their end purpose is, and you need to have that in mind up front. Selection. Let's talk about what matters most. Messaging, pricing tiers, differentiators, proof points. What do you want? What information about these competitors do you want to be analyzed? Assuming is a big thing here because agents assume, but they don't know what you want unless you tell them and provide the context they need to do you the best job possible. And this is one of the big differences in people who are seeing massive gains with AI and people who are just puttering along and whining about the quality of the responses they see. So if you don't specify selection pressure, like specifically I want to compare prices and marketing strategies, summarization, it just becomes compression of, frankly, whatever happened to show up. And that's not going to benefit you. I mean, it might benefit you, but it's not going to benefit you to the extent that it could. Next, you got to give your response a destination. Where does it go? Do you want it as a Slack or Teams message? You want it in an email, in a doc, in a spreadsheet? It's part of the definition of done for your request. So now we've surfaced a number of the hidden decisions behind the request. Next, we're going to go and make them much more explicit as steps. Okay, this slide is where I want you to feel how human this process is. We're going to talk about the thesis for a second. You start with a question, not a search. How are competitors positioning on price versus value? For example, we'll just start there because that's an easy thing that applies to a lot of industries and, different people use these kind of things. How are competitors positioning on price versus value? This is a very common question across many, many industries. So I'm using this generic topic here kind of as a way to make this relatable. But this question prevents the model from just inventing its own mission about what you want in a summary. The thesis also gives you a yardstick by which to measure the quality of the responses. Every piece of information gets compared against the question. Now let's talk about source selection, because this is really important too. You have to choose where you want it to go look. Do you want it to check blogs? Do you want it to just pull Google search and see what's there? Do you want it to log into your Zoom info and pull down a bunch of information from there? There's a variety of things it can do, but you need it to know things like avoid stale pages or scraped summaries of scraped summaries, because that's absolutely a thing all over the internet. You solve that by being very intentional about the sources you choose. Maybe you want official websites for positioning, pricing pages for actual tiers, reviews on customer pain points, and maybe analyst reports for market framing. You're doing something really important here. You're deciding what counts as evidence for the report that you need it to create. Now let's talk about extracting the signal, which is a fancy way of saying going and gathering the information. You extract specific categories. Maybe you want claims, pricing, messaging, positioning. This is where agents can shine because extraction is structured language. But first, the categories need to exist. Without categories, the model is going to just extract whatever it finds interesting. Okay, now back to relevant. This is the most important box on the slide. Humans filter constantly. We ignore junk, redundancy, edge cases, things that just don't affect the decision for one reason or another. Agents don't filter unless you tell them to. So you have to tell them to. Without this step, you're going to get bloated contacts, conflicting facts, duplicate sources if you're not careful, summaries that reflect the loudest information and not the most usefulness. So now let's talk summarizing again. This becomes easier now because your inputs have been curated. They're what you've specifically asked for the task you are working on. That's the difference between compressing signal and compressing noise. Okay, so let's talk about ownership. Some things can be computed, some things need intent. A language model is excellent at transformational tasks. Extract, rewrite, compare, summarize, for example. The weak spot is when the model has to infer what your goal is or what standards matter to you or what enough looks like. If you don't specify those things, it's guessing as it goes what you want. So specify and let it spend more time focusing on solving your problem than figuring out what it is you want from it. Okay, so a clean workflow is going to separate steps that require intent and constraints from steps that are mostly execution. That separation is going to make the agent work better and it's going to work cheaper which is also vital because in a hurry, agents can start costing you a fat chunk of change if you're not careful. Okay, so now let's talk about what you have to decide versus what an LLM is going to just handle for you. This is going to be like your division of labor. You have to decide, your thesis, sort selection, relevance criteria. So those are all decisions you're going to make. The model, though, is going to go out and it's going to extract the signal or get the information. It's going to collect your data that you've asked for. And the model is also going to handle the summarizing process. But in there are going to be a couple other things that it can handle. But those are your core needed functions. That's what's going to be the U element and the LLM element. Essentially, when the model is forced to decide the question, the source quality, and what counts as relevant, it's basically doing your job with no context or accountability. So you're going to have to give it these decisions so it'll come back with a very strong processor. So you're going to have to give it these decisions that you've made so that it can come back with very strong results. Now let's talk about when something needs to be separated. You're going to give the agent a reusable rule. Does skipping this step change the outcome? Does it require judgment or intent? Does it risk polluting context if these get jumbled together? If yes, it needs to be separated into its own node. This is how you're going to decide if summarization is just a separate agent or maybe a later step. If mixing it causes drift in your prompt or model and the results get fuzzy, you definitely want to split it off. But if not, maybe they are okay in one. But for the sake of this and simplicity, I want to separate the two tasks. Okay, so here's kind of the real world implementation view. We're going to walk left to right through what this workflow might look like. And I've kept it a little simple. There are definitely some other nodes a person might want to work into one. But at its core, this is a decent enough workflow for a beginner. So first we have our trigger. And this is what starts the agent. What tells the agent, go? So it might be a weekly schedule based on a time. It could be when a new competitor is detected on some site, for example. It could be a Slack request, a form submission, an email. It could be triggered by anything you want it to be. It could be manually triggered where you just go in and it opens a chat box and you say, go do this. You can do that as well. Trigger matters because it determines how often you're going to pay for this workflow. So, be cognizant of the fact of, is this something that should be a weekly task? If it is, have it send you an email on Monday morning or something. If this is something that you need a daily update or an hourly update, make sure you set that. And make sure you set parameters like, I only need these hourly updates during the workday or something, or while the market's open, for example. Just you want to be cognizant so the cost doesn't get out of hand because every time it runs and calls an LLM, you're going to get API charges, which you buy in bundles. And if you have any questions about that, throw them in the comments. We'll show you how to do that. That's no problem. Okay, next is the search and return step. This is the first agent job. It should use the search tool connected to within the agent itself. It's going to return results with the sources included. It's going to capture some snippets and avoid over collecting too much data without gathering explicitly what you've asked for. Next, I've added a step to remove duplicates and fails. Now, the relevancy step is going to do some of this on its own, but the truth is, the quicker you grab them, the better. So if it goes and it scrapes the internet, for example, and one company's in there with 4 slightly different names, this is the thing that happens. Instead of running all of them, it could know, I only need 1 of these, not 3 or 4 of these. So we'll cut those 3 out. And what that does is sends fewer tokens to your LLM on the next step, meaning it saves you money because the summarization is not having to process as much data. Essentially, it'll save you from wasting tokens, failures, for example. Sometimes you'll get results that don't work out of your first agent possible. Plus, junk sources just contaminate your summary. So anything it can do to kind of filter out the garbage as well as any companies it just ran in the same list is good. It'll save you time, save you money. Okay, now the relevancy check and summarization. You're going to evaluate what's worth keeping and create the summary artifact. This is where you need to enforce some specific things like your relevance criteria from earlier, the output schema, what do you want this to look like, and the voice and level of detail you want it written in or produced in. You need to have all of that figured out, and it'll go in the prompt in this piece of the agent, meaning that when it generates your summary is taking all of that context into account that you wanted. Okay, and last but not least is delivery. We don't want to forget that. This is where it's going to go. Where do you want to use this? You want it in an email, spreadsheet, Slack or Teams message, maybe? Delivery is part of the work. It's important and it's easy to just not think about until the last second. But if it doesn't land in the right place, it might as well not exist. Probably you're going to forget to check on it. You're not going to know to look for it. So have it go somewhere that you will see it. So the main takeaway here is that if your agent struggles with a task you can describe in one sentence, the fix usually starts by unpacking that sentence into operations. You want to change how you think about your process before you start building the agent. And I've stretched this out to where it looks like it's a big deal, but the truth is it doesn't take that long. Sit down and ask yourself, okay, what is assumed of each step within your process, and try to break those down into smaller steps and start to decide, okay, well, the LLM can do that, the LLM can do that. Maybe you want a node here with some special code or something, or maybe you need a spot you want it to call you and be like, trigger a human in the loop response with a Slack message that it asks you, hey, is this one okay? And you say, yep. And then it goes back and finishes its process. You can do that. So once your workflow is shaped like this, though, model selection becomes a practical decision. And that's something we're going to talk about in our next video, is how to choose the models you use throughout your agents, because it can vary a lot. Not every step requires the biggest, latest, greatest state-of-the-art model. Some of them can get by with something much smaller, much faster, and significantly cheaper. So you want to be aware of that and understand how to make those decisions as you go. Which steps need the best model? Which steps can run cheap? Which steps need speed? Those are all questions you're going to answer. And we're going to talk about it, and I'll have some charts and stuff to help really explain what's good, what to be on the lookout for, and what to not waste your time with for some steps, because it may not be necessary. So we're going to do that next time. If you haven't yet, please take a minute to like and subscribe. I really appreciate that you've watched today and want to continue bringing you more of these. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.